Hello and welcome along to Clare FM's Sideline View. It's Derek Lynch with you this evening. Coming up on the show, we look ahead to Sunday's National Hurling League Division 1B final as Clare take on Dublin at the TUS Gaelic Grounds. Clare's minor hurlers and under-20 footballers are both in action this evening. We'll hear from the minor management, and coming up after the show we will be live in Rathkeale for Clare's under-20 football tie against Limerick. It's another busy weekend of local soccer action. Alan Troy will have Greyhound Focus, and we also have our latest More Than a Club episode where the focus is on Clarecastle GAA Club. Now, Tammy Guilfoyle joins us to look ahead to an Easter Sunday showdown at the TUS Gaelic Grounds as Clare take on Dublin in the National League Division 1B final. We've been hearing some of the rumblings from the camp there the last while. The lads keeping the cards nice and close to the chest, Tommy, which I suppose as Clare supporters everybody will be delighted with. And a big game ahead though to set the tone for a fortnight later.
It is, yeah, and I suppose it's been 3 weeks since their last game, so I suppose they've been away on their warm weather training, and they've probably sorted out whatever injuries that they may have had, or that 3 weeks give them that opportunity to put a good base of work in. So I would expect that they will be all guns blazing on Sunday in the Gaelic Grounds. I can't see why they wouldn't be. And again, I'd say if it's not full strength, I'd say it would be because they wouldn't risk a guy with an injury. But I think they will probably go championship team as near as possible.
Is it interesting, or do you read anything into the different approach this year? Because traditionally, I suppose, under Brian, the warm weather training camp was behind in Donegal, and this thing of a sports performance coach, we hadn't really seen it. Tony Griffin's in this year now, and I just asked Brian after the game above Incardo that night about Tony, and he was singing his praises, obviously, but kind of got the feeling he was saying, we said we'd try it out. So there's just something a little different being thrown at it this year.
Yeah, I suppose when you're in a job, for 5, 6 years, I suppose a new voice freshens up things. Maybe a different approach than you've done it before, and I think the warm weather training came down to economics. It was cheaper to go to Portugal than it was to go to Fort Island or whatever above in Dublin there. So that was down to economics. So it was a no-brainer, I suppose. But in saying that, I don't think it was any sort of a holiday in inverted commas under Brian Lohan in Portugal. So, they would have got a great opportunity to put things together, puck outs, different aspects that they may not, or maybe would be rushing after a normal training session. But I think the opportunity of that 3 weeks, I think they made good use of it.
And very much the messaging from both David Reedy and Mark Rogers, who have been kind of speaking ahead of this final at the various media events that were held. It's kind of very unified behind the idea of standards. They don't feel that they met their own standards last year, and that's kind of the metric that they've been going after, that collective body of work that's called standards.
Yeah, and again, look at, I suppose, when you have the calibre of players that are available to that Clare team, Eibhear Quilligan, Conor Cleary, David McInerney, John Conlon, I mean, they won't accept anything only the highest standards. And that's, something that most good teams or winning teams aspire to, but also for the young lads that came in, I think, the experience that they would have gathered from training and playing with those, can only be a positive, going forward. But yeah, I think, last year, we all knew, coming up this time last year that things weren't looking in our favour. We had injuries, our form wasn't great. This year, I suppose we had I won't say the luxury, but the benefit of Division 1B was that we could afford to give more players a chance. It wasn't the cutthroat of 1A. And I think the Clare mentors, used that very wisely. And as a result, just looking through the panel, I think, they've probably covered themselves in most positions with backup players. Now, all players want to play, but only 15 can play at a time. So it's about building depth, and also with one eye to the future as well, blooding these players. So I think it has been a very positive league campaign, and I would hope and expect that Clare would go on and win it. We don't win that silverware too often. So I think, that's the way the management will approach it.
And it was interesting listening to David Reedy talking about those new lads coming into the panel, and he was saying they're not just coming in to sit there in awe of the lads that have All-Ireland medals in their back pocket. They're coming in to take whatever jersey's hanging up behind them and try and get it for themselves. So like there's a confidence and a bit of a boldness and a cut about these young lads coming through as well, which is what you want to see.
It is. There's no point in being going in there, sitting the shy quiet by in the corner. You need to make a name for yourself. And I think the likes of Dylan McMahon, Niall O'Farrell, Ronan Kilroy, all those players, Senan Dunford, Jack Kerwin, Shane Meehan, they've all put their hands up. And while if they're not selected, they will be disappointed. But in the knowledge that if called upon, that they have something very, very positive to offer.
And given the dynamic of both teams having already been promoted, and I don't want to say it's just silverware on the line, but like that target of going up has been achieved, will that lend itself into maybe a more open game here, or is it a case of both teams will try and look at implementing one or two little things that they're thinking about ahead of championship?
Well, I think they probably have, yes, they will have one eye in it, but it won't be the be-all and end-all. I think the opportunity, the fact that we're playing Dublin, a Leinster team, who we won't be meeting until later on, hopefully in an All-Ireland series, gives them that opportunity to go and have a go. Because, look, I think last weekend, the 4 finals, each of those counties get an opportunity to win silverware in Croke Park. You can't tell me that didn't mean a whole lot to where they are at the moment, and especially going forward. So if we could top it off with silverware, that would be great. But I believe that they will be going all out to win this. We have 2 weeks into the Munster Championship, and by that stage, hopefully that the team and the structure will be taking place.
And I've no doubt Peter Queally and his management team are going to be sitting in the stand somewhere in Limerick on Sunday. Do you think Brian Lohan and Keenan and the lads are going to be in any way conscious of that fact, or can you afford at this stage, or does everybody know everything about you anyway, or can you afford to hold back any little thing?
No, I think the way the game has gone and the way it's been analysed and dissected, and you can't. And I think any manager would take what he sees at face value, but knowing full well that while it may not be up there 100% at championship level come 2 weeks' time, there won't be an inch lost or gained. Everything will have to be fought for. So, you need to steel yourself. And again, I suppose the talk about it was, will we be coming in undercooked? The fact that we didn't have the games that the Division 1A teams had. I actually think that fresher might be better in the sense that, and again, we have a load of experience there, so I'm sure they won't be fooled by what their displays in Division 1B. I think they know, and the aim all year is aiming for that first round against Waterford, and what a championship game demands. And as I said, we've loads of experience there, so I don't see the guard being dropped any bit on Sunday.
Yeah, interesting one ahead for sure, and hopefully the weather will play ball as well. That game starts at 1:45 and we'll have commentary as ever here on Clare FM. Well, ahead of Sunday's game, Clare FM's Derek Dormer has been speaking with Banner stalwart David Reedy, who began by reflecting on his own year to date.
We look back at the year, and again it's more last year you're kind of looking back at. It's been a fantastic year with the club. We got the county title that we wanted, and we were trying for a long time. And we had a good run in Munster, and again came up a good bit short. I suppose after that, I did get a break. I got a good 6-7 weeks, and I even managed to get into Tenerife there for a week in 2026 as well. So again, I have no complaints.
I can see a bit of a 10 on you, but the listeners won't know that.
No. But yeah, and again, came back from that in January. Then it was head down, work to do, and try and get back to the standards that we want in the camp.
In 2024, when we won the All-Ireland, we won the National League. And for me, I always believed that winning is a habit. Like, you get on a run and you keep winning matches. This year, we didn't want to be in Division 1B, obviously, but the aim was promotion. That's got. We're in a final. You're in a final, David. Be it soccer, come over, yeah. It doesn't matter, you want to win it.
Yeah, we're all competitive, and I suppose I suppose internally we're looking at standards, and if we get the standards to where we want, that'll be the number one target. And then when we get that, as you said, winning is a momentum. So we'll be going out to win the league final, no doubt about it. Try and continue the momentum we've got throughout the Division 1B league. We've had a couple of competitive games there, and again against Dublin, league final is going to be no difference. They're only building strength from the first game out against us.
And form, you can't turn it on, just like a light switch. I mean, last year we had a dreadful league campaign and into the Munster Championship, and it never ignited. There was patches where we were brilliant the second half against Cork and so on, Tipperary, the Lake, but it was always chasing our tails. Whereas this year we just seem to be in a better place.
Yeah, I suppose when you look back at last year, a lot of lads had a long year. Again, when you get to the All-Ireland stages and you pick up niggles, you're going straight into club campaign then, and you're kind of playing through big injuries, and then by the end of the year you're kind of chasing your tail at that stage then to try and get right for 2025, and we never got our full complement on the field together. Again, every team goes through injuries, but when you have a number of guys in a number of key positions injured, it's probably disappointing. But again, this year we've kept injuries at bay. So far, so good. So yeah, we're building nicely. And then if you look back at the Division 1B league, the amount of new players that made debuts, that got game time, has been massive, and they're pushing the more experienced players throughout every day, every training as well, which is great to see.
And for you, being one of the most experienced players at this stage, Canon Hamilton winning captain, All-Ireland medalists, you've it all done. To see those young players coming in and you know what it was like when you started off. It isn't easy coming in to a setup where you could be in awe of the player beside you.
Yeah, I suppose when you look at the couple of younger lads that came in that are probably 18 or 19 is the youngest, they've probably looked up when they were 13, 14 at us as senior players. But in fairness, that they put that aside after the first training session and kind of got back to work. They're only in the camp for one reason, and that's to get a place in the panel and in the team. And in fairness to them, they're doing that.
They're pushing you
big time.
When you look at the championship, right? Waterford up first, but we haven't a good record in the opening game for the last. Even when we won the All-Ireland, we lost the opening game. We seem to be able to bounce back when we have done, but it's such a crucial game to get those 2 points on the board, and it is this time a home game.
Yeah, it's a home game, and we're going to. I suppose we're only looking at the first game. Again, if you look at the full Munster campaign as a whole, you can't do it all because you've too much to try and take in, try and analyse, try and prepare tactically for. So again, we're only looking at one game, and again, that's Waterford at home. Massive Clare crowd, be full house, hopefully in the sunshine. But it's the battle that they're going to give. We weren't happy with last year's campaign. Waterford probably weren't happy with last year's campaign. They've been on the record saying that they want to win Munster. So again, they're going to come fire and brimstone into Cusack Park and Ennis. So it's going to be a massive game, massive challenge, and it's going to be something to get excited for.
Am I right in saying that that's the only medal you haven't got too, is a Munster Senior Championship medal?
Possibly, yeah. Yes.
I mean, you have the club, you have the National League, you have the All-Ireland, you have,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's 1998 since Clare won a Munster Championship. That's 28 years. I mean, you don't even remember 98. You couldn't. You were only a gassoon.
But I'd probably still bring you back to where I said first. If you look at the full campaign as a whole, there's too much to go after. So we have to take it game by game. And again, that's what we're going to do. We have Waterford in the park, and that's all that's on our minds. So we'll say we play Dublin this weekend. We get through that, and then recoup for one game and one game only, and it'll be our Munster final.
Does the fact that you lost to Waterford last year in Walsh Park, does that have any relevance? Is there revenge in the mind, or is it just a new year, new campaign?
That it doesn't make a difference. That's gone. That's last year. If you're looking back at last year, you're doing something wrong. yes, we look back at things that we did right and did things that we did wrong to make ourselves better. But no, it's a full new year, and we have to analyse what they've done this year, and again what we've done this year, and again go after it.
So finally, David, I know everyone is looking for you. As cliche as it sounds, you really do have to take this one game and literally one half at a time.
That's it. And again, that starts a trend the Tuesday after league final, that it's one focus and one focus only.
Then it's Clare's David Reedy there speaking with Derek Dormer ahead of Sunday's game. We also heard from Mark Rogers and Dublin's Ronan Hayes on Monday evening's show, so those interviews are available to listen back to on our website clare.fm. We are back shortly here on Sideline View. Now delighted to be joined by the Clare minor hurling manager Ger O'Connell as they get their campaign underway this Friday evening. Ger, I suppose you've been waiting in the wings for a while, I think, to get this game underway. Always good to have a championship opener.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it feels like that. You know, you're waiting for ages since, I suppose, last year's Ireland final. But it's amazing how quick it comes around as well. You know, once you're kind of in the middle of training for the last couple of months, and once we had our trials there in December, you finalise your squad in January, and then it's just a quick 10 to 12 weeks. Then after that, you know, so no, the lads have been excellent. You know, we've kind of pushed them hard. They're a real coachable group, you know. So yeah, we've seen real improvements with them as we've gone along the last couple of months.
And from your own perspective, having had last year in that Bonish Doors bib, was the process then maybe of the off season a little bit easier that you had gone through it before?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I was pretty green when it came to the start of my tenure last year, you know. But so having Damien O'Halloran involved last year was a massive help, you know, with the structures and the timings of the sessions, and you know, the plan for challenge matches. All that was, I suppose, he had a great idea of what they were in the timing. So look, we've kind of added to what we would have learned last year as we went along, you know. So no, it was, look, as we went along, I suppose it became easier. And yeah, this year it's kind of, we had the break once we had the Ireland over with. We kind of got back to basic, watching the lads play the underage games, the school games, club championship games. So you're just looking at every player you can, and I think we ended up trialling over 80 players, you know, in December. So we really did have a good look at what talents we had in the county, and there's a lot of it. So yeah, it was a good process, in fairness.
And I suppose that's something maybe people forget at minor level, that the challenges for, we'll say, yourself and Terence at 20 would be just massively different in the time of life these young lads are at, what their schedule is like maybe from September to December, and how you have to work around all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, you really have to be aware of their load, their training loads. They're playing schools hurling, club hurling. Some of them playing football as well onto that. Some play soccer, rugby. It's mad, you know, and so they're being dragged everywhere, you know. So it's just, you really have to be aware of how much they're doing. And in fairness to our lads, our physios and S&Cs, you know, you take real guidance from those areas, and just to make sure that you have monitored those players when you eventually do get your squad, and how you can deal with them. Because look, these lads, they're not robots, you know. They need to be able to be able to train consistently, you know, and at a high enough level with us once they come with us. So yeah, like avoiding injury and making sure that we manage their load is huge.
It's interesting you referenced that, like that you're taking your lead from the medical backroom team that's involved with you, that they're nearly dictating or not dictating but advising you as to when players can go. Like, that wasn't always the case. I suppose that's been a real development in the modern game, that, you know, you're really being led by the science behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of it is feedback from players as well. You know, they use an app, a RIPT app or YPT app, that, you know, they're telling us how they feel after a session, you know, how their legs are, their bodies, how they're mentally feeling, you know. So we get all that information, and Derek Morris, our S&C, and I suppose the whole S&C group led by Conor Shannon, you know, they really have catered that now system really, really well to get information from the players. And look, it's probably my job then in management to push the players to make sure that they're doing this correctly, you know, so we can get that feedback and monitor how they are mentally and physically, which is really important as young lads, because as you said, they have an awful lot going on outside of hurling, you know, and there's more to life than hurling as well, you know. It's nice to be able to talk to the players in a one-on-one and see, you're not feeling well, or you show there that you're not, mentally in a right state at the moment, so you can have a good chats with the lads, see how they are. So yeah, it's all a process, Derek, and it's really interesting how it has kind of changed as the years have gone on, and like getting this information from players, and then like the lads would do jump tests before training to make sure that they're able for a full session. And it's actually, me, I'm just learning as I'm going, and I find it fascinating and really interesting, and these guys are the experts, so I'd be foolish not to listen to them.
Absolutely. Tell us then about maybe, have you made changes to your backroom team?
Not really. We obviously lost Damien, moved on. I suppose he had his tenure done at minor level for, he was so successful in what he does. He'd probably go down as one of the greatest ever underage coaches, that's ever been there, from his success with not only us, but with Galway as well, So he's moved on, and Denise Lynch moved on as well as our goal game coach. She had a baby, which so shout out to Denise. Hope it all's going well. But I've had the same crew with me since under 16. So this is actually our 6th year together with the lads who, when we originally took the Clare 16s, 5 years ago. So to be able to hold on to all those lads who are great, who we have a real understanding of what we're doing and the roles that each member of management has, and that's really important. And look, we're able to be not critical, but we're able to be honest with each other without losing the head either, So it's a real good environment to be around.
Fantastic. And then within your group, your squad of players, have you had much turnover from last year?
Yeah, it's big turnover, Derek, every year, and like I suppose out of the 34 we have now, I think it's 9 of the original squad from last year, and 4 would have started. But like, once we came in January, once we had our squad picked, like, it's back to square one for these lads who were there last year. You have to. It's so important for these lads to earn their right to wear a Clare jersey, and just because you're on a squad the year before, or you started the year before, you're back, and there's lads who are hungry to get in ahead of you. So it just builds competition, and it's a massive respect towards the jersey that if you do get it, you really have earned it.
But are you seeing now, like, that you're getting a very, very consistent level of the metrics these lads are hitting when they come from development squads to what is their first big inter-county experience?
Yeah, really, every group is different. Like, you could have a smaller squad coming through from under 16, or you could have a taller, larger. Every group is different, so we kind of have to cater to that player that we get as well, from the Clare 16s up. Like, I suppose my advantage the year before is that I had last year's minor group, I had them at Clare 16s, so we knew what we had really from positionally. The lads knew us, so that transition was really seamless. So this has been different because we didn't really know the lads came through from under 16 because we were flat out with the minors last year. So this is a new group. They have to get to know us, and we have to get to know them. So that process has been a lot slower than it would have been the year before. But that has been a real interesting part as well, getting to know these lads, and eventually what you're hoping is for them to earn your trust, and they earn your trust. So it's a good combination of learning who they are and what makes them tick as a player.
Tough little test coming now Friday night, albeit if you're a young fella going out into Simple Stadium, that's where you want to be. Hurling is in those venues, so tough opponent, but a lovely surrounds, I suppose, to make your step up.
Yeah, it's lovely. And we trained there last night, and I would have said to them, like, all these lads from when they were under 14s, 15s, 16s, they would have went down to watch these, the minor teams playing down in Thurles, and lucky enough for Clare that we've been pretty successful getting to finals and semi-finals and winning one, which is unreal. So these lads who've have come up in that environment of going down and supporting a minor group, and now they're the boys now who are in that position, and I suppose they're the lead for the next bunch of players coming through. So look, you can't take that for granted, and they don't. They've really really trained hard, and we've pushed them, and it's amazing, these young lads, Derek, how much they improve from week to week, and and month to month, So when we've seen that with this crew, and no, I know they're all looking forward to it, and look, that's why they train, is to play games, and to have a game in Semple Stadium is a perfect start.
And while we all love success and we all live and breathe off it at times, like I suppose it's more so a sign of success when you're looking at this year's 20 group in particular, and you're looking at Owen Gunning, you're looking at Ronan Kilroy, you're looking at Jamie Moylan, and you're looking at the journey they came on, that these lads are just starting, and that's probably the ultimate success, really.
Yeah, it is the ultimate success. It's like the whole point of, I suppose, being involved in the development system is, for these lads to move on to the next level. Like, I know it's great to turn around and say, we want to win an All-Ireland minor. Of course we do. That's why we're going into it. But, like, at the end of the day, our job as a minor management team and group is to make these lads, better players, better people on and off the field, and tactically more aware, so that when they do go on to the next level in the 20s and whatever level, even at high club level, they're going back and they're really, really good players that understand tactically what a team or a new manager wants to do, So, look, that's our job, to make them better people, and just when they do move on to whatever level they get to, that they are ready to attack that level that they're asked to play.
And the very best of luck to Ger and the crew in Thurles this evening. We'll be keeping you posted on that one throughout this evening's commentary of the under-20 football from Rathkeale. Now, next up here on Sideline View, we're looking ahead to what is a fairly packed card for local soccer this weekend. We have Munster Junior Cup, FAI Junior Cup, and lots of domestic action as well, which we will get to in due course. But Jim Madden with us to look ahead to us. Jim, we'll focus maybe on Jackman Park on Saturday evening. Ashling and Acotty versus Newmarket Celtic. I was just doing a bit of research there. This is only a chance for Newmarket to reach their third ever Munster Junior final, their first since 2016. I think the other one was back around the 80s direction. So a huge afternoon and an evening all around for the club.
Yes, indeed. I mean, this is eagerly awaited by people both in Clare and in Limerick as well. I think that Newmarket have an excellent chance of getting to the final. And as you said, that the last time they were in the final, they were beaten by Regional, if I remember rightly, by a goal to nil. That was just after they had won the FAI Junior Cup. Newmarket this year has shown an incredible resilience. And while Ashling are a decent side and they knocked out the Bridge in the last round, Ashling are managed by Declan Farmer, very, very highly qualified and experienced coach, and has a decent side. However, the word is that since the Bridge game, one of his players has picked up an injury and he won't have recovered. Now, this man, it would be quite, Conor Coughlin, would be quite important to Ashling up front. And if you can't test Newmarket at the back, you really are in a bad space, for want of a better word. The game will be tight, there's no doubt about that. Ashling, Declan Farmer will know plenty about Newmarket, and we'll have watched them quite a number of times over the last number of weeks. And he will have come up with some kind of a system defensively and all of that. But it's the fact that Newmarket can defend so well, are so resilient, and then can hit you on the break and get that vital goal, and then they're capable of shutting up shop again. So I think Newmarket, while I would imagine there'll be a right good crowd in it, the game in Jackman Park, the pitch there is always in top condition, and as long as the weather is kind on Saturday night, I think we'll have an excellent game, and I think Newmarket will qualify for the final.
Yeah, the Declan Farmer element to this, obviously we know his Clare connections, and maybe the way the game has gone, it's very hard to keep secrets anyway, but the little bit of insider knowledge that he may have on what is, I suppose, an evolving Newmarket Celtic squad, do you expect that to play into it?
It will. I mean, there's no doubt that he will be very aware. I'd say he could actually probably pick the Newmarket team. He would know that much about them. And he'd probably decide that basically what he has to do is make sure that they don't concede an early goal to Newmarket, and that they put a bit of pressure on Harvey and company at the back to see can they break down the Newmarket defence, which is normally very, very well organised, and get that vital goal maybe before half time or whatever. I can see the game being very, very tight, and I can see very, very little between the two sides. And whoever will win, and I think it will be Newmarket, there'll only be a goal or two in it.
Yeah, and of course that is the last big itch for Newmarket to scratch in terms of the cups that they can win. We know that FAI win opened up so many other competitions that they won consequentially as well, and then the Munster Junior, the one that they just haven't got over the line in. So huge carrot for them this weekend to get back to the final, and we wish them all the best in that. 7 o'clock on Saturday evening for that one down in Jackman Park. At the Crag then, Jim, on Saturday as well. This is the refixture. Tulla made the trip down last time, didn't get their game. This time they're at home in the Crag against St. Itas at 6:30.
They are indeed, and from what I gather from talking to the people at St. Itas, they do feel that they're in for a hiding here a little bit. Tulla at home, very, very well organised, very strong, and I think Tulla will advance in this game and probably have a little bit to spare as well. There'll probably be quite a good crowd up there, and maybe there might be a slight little bit of a sour taste by Tulla in the fact that they travelled down to West Limerick and the game didn't go ahead. But I don't think it is the blame of St. Itas. They did feel that the pitch, while there was water on it, should have been all right, and the referee made that decision for them. But I think Tulla will advance, and I think that the way the draw is going, I think Tulla have a great chance of getting it down to the knockout, the final stages of the FAI this year as well.
Sticking with the FAI Junior Cup then, the game also that was rescheduled from the last day, it's on the Shannon Road this time Sunday morning. Bridge United and Shannon Hibs, afternoon, 2 o'clock kickoff for that one. The local derby element here, but I suppose Bridge in maybe a stronger vein of form.
Yes, indeed. I mean, the Bridge will fancy their chances. Shannon Hibs wouldn't be quite as experienced, first of all, as the Bridge, and I think home advantage will swing it for the Bridge. They definitely have their eye on having a more successful season and picking up some bit of silverware, whether it'll be the Clare League or the Clare Cup. The FAI, they'd like a good run in that as well. However, unfortunately, if they win on Sunday, and no matter which of the two of them win, they're at way to Newmarket in the next round, and that isn't something that you'd be looking forward to too much, maybe.
Absolutely not, no. Right, the Maloney Hardware Premier Division then, for Avenue, I guess it's a case of while the cat's away, they'll hope that they'll be able to close the gap on the leaders, to just paraphrase that old one. They're at Lees Road to take on Fairgreen Celtic at 10:30 Sunday morning. 4 points off the lead at the moment. This could bring them back to within one, but obviously they'll lose one of the games in hand.
Yes, indeed. But I would imagine that Avenue will feel that points in the bag are far better than hope for. Fairgreen not having a very good season. I felt at the start of the season that Fairgreen would be a force and would have a decent season. However, they've had some difficulties and they've lost a number of players. You'd have to imagine, while this will be a local derby and Fairgreen will not give anything away free, that Avenue will be capable and will want to pick up the 3 points. The other game in the Premier then sees Shannon Town play Kilrush Rangers. And for me, Town would appear to slightly have the better side and the stronger side. And I think while Kilrush are really struggling, hard to see them getting anything out of this game. So a Town win there. And then in the first division, Derek, then we have Mana Celtic versus Mount Shannon. I think Mount Shannon could win that. Bunratty are playing Connolly, and Bunratty should win that. And then Shannon Olympic playing Fern Celtic. And then on Friday, Derek, we have the Women's Cup semi-final. Ennisdons play Moher Celtic at the County Ground. The kick-off there on Friday at 7. You'd have to fancy Moher in that.
Very good. And there's games in the second and third division. I don't think weather is promised overly hectic this weekend, so maybe keep an eye out for venue changes and maybe some games that may get pulled late on. We'll see how all that goes. Check out the Clare Soccer Facebook page and cdsl.ie for more on that. But for now, Jim Madden, thanks very much. Alan Troy joins us now for this week's Greyhound Focus.
Clare FM's Greyhound Focus with Limerick Greyhound Stadium. Enjoy top-class racing at the Conn and Danny Kirby Memorial each Saturday night and check out our dinner or group packages.
A very good evening and welcome to this week's Greyhound Focus. Flyers Penny is proven to be an exciting prospect for Tullabrack's Colin Fitzgerald and the Flyers Racing Syndicate. Having won 5 of her 6 competitive starts, This daughter of Signet Ace and Penny Lane Sheba impressed all that were in attendance at Galway Greyhound Stadium with a commanding 12.5 lengths victory in the first round heats of the Paul McKenna Memorial A5 sweepstake. She stopped the clock in 29:21. And also on Friday evening, the first round heats of the Galway Novice N2 Sprint sweepstake commenced, and Cascade Tour duly obliged in Heat 2 for Ballier's Jack Brown in 1942. He's trained by Jack's father John and is a homebred son of Dermana Bucco and Cascade Phantom. That's all for this week, folks. Slán agus Bannock.
Clare FM's Greyhound Focus with Limerick Greyhound Stadium. Enjoy top-class racing at the Conn Danny Kirby Memorial each Saturday night, and check out our dinner or group packages.
Alan, thanks very much indeed for that. Up next is our next episode of More Than a Club, where we shine the spotlight on Clarecastle.
This feature, More Than a Club, is funded by Commission na Man with the television licence fee.
Now, in the latest part of our Club Focus series, delighted to have representatives of Clarecastle GAA Club with us in studio, Facilities Manager Niall Toohey and the newly elected Chair in Olivia Hickey. Guys, thanks so much for coming in to us to have a chat. Olivia, I'll start with yourself because I suppose off the bat, a historic moment for Clarecastle GAA to elect a female Chair. From your own point of view, what did you make of getting that title?
Well, I suppose I was looking forward to it. If I did get it, was the way to put it. I just kind of put my name out there and I said, is there any appetite for a female chair? I suppose I wasn't looking to make any great changes in the club, but to help progress the club as it's already been moving. You know, there's been great strides and great work done, especially with Niall, who is our former chair. So it was to kind of keep that momentum moving. So I suppose for me it was great to have the opportunity and also to see that the community had faith in me to do so.
And what was your previous connection then or involvement with the club that kind of said, I'll go forward here?
I was registrar at the club for 2 years, and I was also coaching Camogie and LGFA there in the underage as well for the last few years. So I suppose there was a lot of exposure to the club. My children go to the club. And I just thought, you know, what a great way to give back to the community and to volunteer and to help keep the club moving.
I suppose to have had that previous grounding then, I know it's obviously very early in your tenure, but was that a comfort blanket that you weren't coming into a completely unknown scenario?
Yes, I suppose to know the workings of it and to see how it was being managed and, you know, just the various different roles. There's a great group of people from the executive down to all of the volunteers, and they all move as a community, within a community. And I just thought, you know, it's such a nice thing to see and to try and keep that moving and that positivity going.
Niall, speaking of community, I suppose within the Clarecastle GAA community, the name Toohey is synonymous, obviously. There's probably no need for me to ask your own background or involvement in Clarecastle GAA. I imagine this kind of started in the crib for you, did it?
Oh, well, sure, I didn't know any better. We lived across from Clare Abbey. My mother is still there, and it was a stone's throw across the road. And as a young fella, I'd been over there watching my brothers playing away, hurling and football and everything. I think I was conscripted onto the grounds committee at about 10, I'd say, cutting grass and trying to find schlitters, and I didn't know any better.
Yeah. But I suppose that's the beauty of a club like Clarecastle, because the sense I get of it is, okay, it's in an urban setting in inverted commas insofar as you're just below the town, but there still is that massively rural family connected element to it.
Well, sure, it's like every other village in the county or in the country. The GAA is a big part of every community, and there are people who are involved in lots of different organisations and identify in lots of different organisations, but the bulk of the people, of the workers, are associated with the GAA and Clarecastle.
If we were to draw a line from the Clarecastle that was there when you first started collecting slitters and was, as you brilliantly put it, conscripted onto the grounds committee, to the Clarecastle that's there now, both in terms of numbers and facilities and I suppose demands on the volunteers, which we'll touch on, it must be night and day, is it?
It is. It's night and day, but we're no different than any other club around the place. Improvements have come on board. New people have come on board, I suppose. Bernie Ryan, our former secretary, used to say you were a blow-in if all of your grandparents weren't born in the Key Road, and there was probably 30 houses in the Key Road. So we're full of blow-ins, and thankfully so. Mrs. Nevin, a big good tour, used to call us schulers. You were walking in, you weren't part of the setup. But Clarecastle is full of schulers now, and we're indebted to them.
Yeah, and Olivia, like on that, as the facilities grow, and we'll touch on some of the developments in a while, but so too do the demands, I suppose, and that need for a big team around you. Like that's a thing, isn't it? Still trying to find people to have that time.
Yeah, very much so. And I suppose the thing is that, you know, it's a fantastic facility to have, but it takes a lot to maintain it. And I suppose Niall has been pivotal with that in organising people and getting the help there. And I suppose the one thing that's happened since I've started as well is I've had people contacting me saying, if you need me to do anything. So I'm kind of pulling off that and, you know, that good faith and that goodwill, because that's what it's all about, to get the community involved, even if they don't play the sport themselves, but they enjoy watching it, and just to have that experience of helping to maintain the facility. So, you know, it's all really about community and that good faith there, and just keeping that positivity going. No matter whether a team is doing well, middling, not so well, it's the community that comes together regardless.
But I suppose you hit on a good point there, that element of the GAA being more than the 15 players that go on the field and the 2 or 3 lads on the sideline. And we'll get into some of the initiatives that you've developed. I know that there was a fantastic Irish culture night down there in recent weeks as well, and all that comes with it from a GAA perspective. But there is a place for everybody here.
There is. Absolutely. And the thing is that I suppose the more we promote that, you know, the more people want to come. And that's the main thing. It's about having a place where people can go, because you know, the world is getting bigger, everything is getting bigger, and sometimes people need a community to be able to slot into, whether they're local or not. I suppose for me, I'm originally from town. I moved to Clarecastle 16 years ago, married a Clarecastle man, but you know, it's that sense of community and being involved in it, and the volunteering as well. You know, as I always go back to the saying, as my father said, no matter where you are in the world, it takes a village, and it's the community around you. Sometimes that'll be closer to you than your own family at times when they're spread across the world, and it is so true. So definitely to rely on the local community, but to make everyone welcome in all, you know, in all capacities, from young to older.
And on that then, that evening that we speak about that was held up upstairs there in the clubhouse, for people that know it, like that cultural element, it seemed to be in a night that a lot of people had a lot of praise for.
Yes, and I think it was a great idea to bring it around and to have it within the community, and to have it at the club, and to be able to facilitate it there, because it is part of our heritage. The Irish language is very much part of the GAA culture as well, so it's about promoting that and bringing that back in, and also supporting those who want to enjoy the language and who want to enjoy the music and the culture. So, you know, it was something that was nice to have and to be able to facilitate.
And Niall, that explosion of numbers that the club have seen in recent years, I know it transcends both underage and adult, because I think you're fielding more adult teams maybe now than you would have had in previous years, which is a real dedication, I suppose, to the lads that want to get involved in the club. But as we say, with that comes challenges. It's a fantastic challenge to have, obviously, but it still is a challenge.
Yeah, look, we take on any challenge. I think we've 841 members last year. It's grown and grown and grown. Pre-COVID, we probably had 500. You know, I suppose COVID affected people in so many different ways, but the people in the village looked around and saw 40 acres at their disposal where they weren't able to get outside of the pale. So they looked at the village, they looked at the club and said, geez, we have something here. How can we get part of this? So
yeah, and but that's an interesting point as well, because a lot of clubs I've spoken to, and this goes across both urban and rural, right, is that, and I've seen it myself firsthand in our own hurling club at home, not everybody wants to be or can be an all-star, but everybody wants to be a part of it, and they want to have some role to play within a team, whether that's junior A, B, C, or however many more letters of the alphabet we can go down through. Yeah. So catering for them is brilliant as well, because they get attached to the club, and maybe a year's, two's time, they're a treasurer, they're a PRO, they're some kind of an officer.
Well, I suppose it's true to say that the GAA isn't for everyone, but the GAA is there for everyone, and it's up to you to put your lava sauce there and say, how can I be of assistance? And the door is open. I think it's 54, something like 54 teams between underage ladies football, camogie and hurling. You know, we operate under one club model. We've been doing that without formally doing it for 10 years. So there's only the one checkbook down there. So we don't have an underage treasurer, ladies treasurer, football or hurling treasurer. There's the one checkbook down there. So we all have to make use out of the facilities, and we all are equal down there.
Yeah, we'll speak more to Olivia about that in just a second, because obviously this integration thing is coming down the tracks at a fair rate of knots. But you've this lovely title of facilities manager, and anybody that has gone down and been around Clarecastle can see that it would rival anything in a provincial or indeed a national sense at times. But I think the 10 acres 4G pitch down there has been a revelation. Talk to us a little bit about how that came to be, I suppose, and just how much it has grown in terms of demand.
Yes, I suppose we're very lucky historically in Clarecastle that we are blessed with ingenious people down there and hard workers, and what 40 acres that are at our disposal at the moment is down to the hard work and vision of people in the 50s and 60s and 70s. When I was a young fella, I remember going opposite Cannon's pub to Devine's Field. Then we were out at Mrs. Lynch's pump field. Then we went over to Clare Abbey in the mid-80s. We've never actually officially opened Clare Abbey yet. And we're across the road in our new facility 20 years, and we haven't opened that. And I suppose the reason for that is we're not ready yet. Do you know, we still have plans there at the moment. We have 2 juvenile pitches, we have 2 sand-based pitches, and then we have the Ryan's Field, and we also have the AstroTurf. So maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when Rosh was announcing that it was going leaving the village, there was a kind of a bursary set up by Rosh to see how best they could leave their legacy in the village, and various different organisations put forward proposals to Ger Cahill, the MD at the time, of what best footprint to leave behind in the village. And Clarecastle GAA were blessed with articulate, intelligent visionaries at the time, and we put forward a proposal of a 4G AstroTurf pitch. That would have come about by a survey of our own members, what we would like to see. So previously we had bought the 10 acres and we didn't have the price of it, but we knew that we couldn't afford not to buy it. So we got a loan and we bought the 10 acres, and we said, what do we want to do with it? And our vision was an AstroTurf. Rosh came on board then and decided to help us dare to dream. So we got the seed capital, and we were fortunate enough then that we heard of this IIP scheme, and we applied for that, and we were very fortunate. We got some funds from outside of Europe, and that let us build the facility we have. We're still focused on the next tranche of that. We've been approved for more funding, so there's more developments there. And when we put in the stand and another set of dressing rooms and a shoppa, we'll probably open the place. We'll say we've enough done.
Makes it sound so easy, but I have to say, if I'm not mistaken, I think the first couple of fixtures in there was at the McGrath Cup game with Clare and Cork, and then there was Clare and Limerick in the hurling. And I just remember being there both nights at those games and looking around with all the lads with the Magpie high-vis jackets on, and there was such a sense of pride that this was something that you were offering to the county. So I think there's hardly been a free slot there since, has there?
Well, you'll have to talk to the treasurer about free slots, all right?
Sorry, available slots. I'm going to rephrase that.
It is a busy place, and we're fortunate that we have Clare GAA as anchor tenants. We give them first refusal, so it's great to see. As bring down a young fella there, and you'll see Tony Kelly there today, or you could see Gary Brennan or whoever down there. You know, you've top class hurlers and footballers and ladies footballers and camogies down there, and we're very proud that we're able to offer that to the county of Clare.
Fantastic. Olivia, we mentioned there the one club model, and I suppose it's, I don't know, something that's in vogue, I suppose you could say now, the 2027 deadline, and Mary McAleese and her committee and all the rest of it. But it sounds like Clarecastle are kind of a step ahead of what will ever be coming down the road, because that's what you're aiming, that's your vision, and has been for quite some time.
Yeah. So I suppose when I started in the club, it was very much the one club model was embedded already, even in how we approached the membership. So everything was pretty much in place. So it was just about keeping that and moving it forward, and now aligning it. I suppose what's going to come down the line with the integration, or I suppose is how it's going to look as a GAA model as well. But I suppose what the club were trying to do at the time was to have something in place so that it's not a shock to the system. So all we're doing is implementing any changes that'll probably be smaller rather than bigger. So it's something that I suppose it'll just be great to have it kind of all put together, because even from a registration viewpoint with Fern and things like that, it'll just make a big difference.
Yeah, and it's something that a lot of clubs that have kind of moved towards that model have been saying that as well, like that, you know, even for, I suppose, booking pitches for training or fundraising, it's just all that bit more coordinated now.
Well, I suppose this one club model wasn't talked about when we adopted it. It was out of a sense of fairness. If you had a parent with a boy and a girl, we were charging extra to play ladies football and camogie, and the boy who could play hurling and football was being charged less, and we said that's not fair. So the club decided to take the hit, and all children are treated equally no matter what it costs us to the different organisations. So it would be a help from our funding point of view if the head offices in Croke Park decided that our model wasn't a bad way to go.
But also, if you'd imagine from a fundraising point of view to have it more streamlined, because like rather than the same shopkeeper being asked twice in a week to support the ladies club and support the men's club, and suddenly they're saying, geez, whatever, leave me alone, haven't I enough given? It's supporting the club, that's
exactly.
it.
Yeah, and I suppose, you know, and not just a particular team, the club. And, you know, that is something that has been looked at. I suppose we have a fundraising committee who are pulling together so that we have a fundraising policy there that will allow for that as well, so that it's for the club and that we're not, I suppose, constantly going. We're asking the community all of the time to help out with their time and then their money as well. So I suppose things like that, once everything is integrated, but I suppose for us, it's been something that has been done all along. So it's just to kind of build on that. And with the facilities we have, like, we're grateful in the fact that the community are there and they've supported us for so long. So any way that we can give back as well, and that was the one thing as well with the idea of the one club model and having I suppose just a straightforward flat rate with regards to membership was very important as well for the community.
Well, it sounds like a hugely exciting time for you to be coming into this position, because I know the new lights were shone on the grass pitch there as well for the McGrath Cup game with Clare and Kerry in January as well. So that's now another string in the bow, I suppose. And listening to all that Niall has outlined there in terms of developments and that positivity that's there, like as chair to be centre of it, fantastic place to be.
I suppose it is. I suppose I'm not... myself personally, I'm never very comfortable being the centre of attention. I normally like to be in the background and getting the moving parts moving and just keeping them moving. I suppose that was the bit of a shock, as in I was quite excited and then it was like, oh God, people are looking for me. Because that was the big thing for me, was that I'm not a front and centre person. So for me, it was more so about helping the club and maintaining. There's been a very consistent approach with the development of it. There's a team there, you know, at the very, very top there's a team, and we all have our own parts to play in it. And, you know, that's something that will continue. I'm not looking to change that. That's absolutely the heart of the club. The people of the club are the heart of the club, whether they're a player, whether they're a volunteer, whether they're on the exec, wherever they are. I'm just excited to be a part of it and to keep it moving the way it has been, because Niall's shoes are very big shoes to fill, I have to say. But I'm not quite there yet, but he's been teaching me as much as he can and imparting as much information. And, you know, it is something that I'm just looking forward to maintaining and progressing throughout the year.
Fantastic. Well, to the both of you, thanks for coming in to have a chat with us, and the best of luck for the season ahead.
This feature, More Than a Club, is funded by Commission na Man with the television licence fee.
And thanks to Niall and Olivia for their time on this week's More Than a Club, and we will have lots more to talk to over the coming weeks. That's where we have to leave it though for this week's show, but coming up after the break we'll be live from Rathkeale as Clare take on Limerick in the Munster Under-20 Football Championship. The helicopter is ready just outside the door, so I better run. Stay tuned, I'll talk to you shortly.